tax-deductible donation, become a sponsor, or sign up to volunteer at events that support these brave kids and their families. That's JADYNFRED.org, jadenfred.org, standing with Montana families.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's time for Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
What's up, Montana? Welcome in. 102.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Coulter Nuanez. This is Nuanez Now. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. Plenty to get to today. We have sort of a new floating segment here on either Wednesdays or Thursdays. We're going to keep leading with football because I think there's plenty of news to go around. I think there's certainly plenty of interest. And I've been working with Samuel Kim, former Grizz receiver, for a couple of years now, and he's really blossomed into an awesome fixture of media around Montana. He's doing a great job covering the FCS as a whole, and he has his own podcast, and he partners with us at Skyline Sports, but I wanted to make him a part of this radio show as well because he's just great, and it's, we're probably going to sit down and record an hour worth of stuff every week, so we might as well play at least half of it right here on the show because we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that people around the state of Montana certainly are going to care about, which today we talk about a variety of those things. We talked about North Dakota State's great performances at the NFL Combine. Bryce Lance and Cole Payton both blew the doors off of it there in Indy. We also talk about Bobby Kennedy's debut press conference, some of the things we're looking at for spring ball storylines. So first two segments actually here today, we will hear from Samuel Kim. Then we will dive into a preview of a podcast I'm looking forward to quite a bit. Bobby Hauck did a press conference when he quote-unquote retired that lasted about 20 minutes on his way out the door. And he's done plenty of media since getting hired at Illinois, talking all about that job. But intermittently, one person got a sit-down interview with Coach Hauck. Actually, one person got a one-on-one on the phone. That was Greg Rockach of MontanaSports.com. And then Justin Angle, our good friend at the University of Montana Business School, the host of the New Angle podcast, he had an exit interview of sorts with Bobby Hauck. This is coming out tonight. They're teasing it already on social media. I really want to listen to this because I just think it's going to be a different, pun intended, angle on this thing because I just think that first of all, Justin Angle is a brilliant conversationalist, is one of my favorite people to talk to, and he I just think he has a different perspective, and I think that he and Coach Hauck, because of their relationship from being on campus together, and the fact that Justin teaches at the business school, and a lot of football players have had class with Justin. There's a connection there, so I'm excited to hear this podcast. So we caught up with Justin Angle to sort of preview that and just discuss what it is like for the evolution of a school that has been so branded through football and had a coach in Bobby Hauck that in certain ways, because of the style that he plays and the priority that he sort of puts on certain elements, he has sort of definitively branded Grizz football. And that's certainly just an interesting deal for how Montana takes the next step moving forward. So we talked to J.A. all about that. And then we also have our latest Grizz post-practice interview. As I said this last year, too, when these things get staggered, it's a little bit weird. This is sort of how it was last year, too, with the Grizz not playing their first game for 2 weeks after everybody else. So our coverage during early preseason last year was almost Bobcat exclusive for a couple weeks because those were the guys we had access to. Those are the people we could interview. Those are the storylines we could talk about. And then the Grizz started, so then it starts to even out. Well, now it's the opposite side of the spectrum. Grizz are rolling on spring ball right now, and they will be rolling for several weeks before Montana State gets started. So because they're practicing, we're going to grab guys right after practice like we always do, because why wouldn't we? But it's going to even back out, so don't worry about it. We also have some good Bobcat content coming up for you tomorrow. We're going to hear from Matt Logie, the head coach of the Montana State men's basketball team. His team plays in Boise on Sunday. They're the 2 seed, and probably Friday we'll hear from Tricia Bidford, who's the women's basketball coach at Montana State. Her team also the 2 seed. They also play on Sunday. So the reason we're splicing in things like Samuel Akem right now is because I know the basketball center stage, we're in the postseason. We're going to talk a ton about it. We're going to have, next week's going to be pretty much all hoops. But we've heard from you, and then whenever I say, hey, text us, let us know what you want us to talk about, which, by the way, do, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us and let us know what you want us to talk about. But all you guys always ask about the Grizz and the Cats and football. That's what it is. Like almost 95% of the questions are about that. So let us know what you want us to talk about. And every text that you do that's letting us know what you want us to talk about is going to get you entered in to win some wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. So text us, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call it, text it, but mostly text it right now and all throughout this first hour here, and you'll get entered in to win a dozen wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, the Despo, the go-to when it comes to wings in Missoula, and loyal partners of us here at Nuanez Now for the better part of a decade. Samuel Kim will join us either Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on how the other interviews. We're going to record on Tuesdays every week, and then we'll roll these out as they fit in. But it's always fun talking ball with Sammy, and we covered plenty of subjects here today. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Samuel Kim checking in for an Inside the FCS. We have 5 questions to get to. That's going to be kind of the format as we proceed here during these off-season conversations. So, first of all, man, how you doing? Thanks for being here.
Good, man. There's something in the air because my wife got sick, my coworkers are getting sick, now I'm sick, but, we're still trucking on, talking FCS. It's a good day anytime we get to talk about FCS football.
Man, I felt bad. Megan Robinson, who works at the Big Sky Conference, she went to the Super Bowl, and she was covering all those guys and lost her voice from doing so much work, and then also got sick. So last time we recorded, you couldn't understand her at all. And I was like, I felt so bad for her. But she's like, show goes on. We have to do it. So
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that spring, at the spring game when you had me on the show for the spring game last spring.
That's right.
And my voice was just absolutely terrible.
God. Yeah, man. Hey, it happens to the best of us, but here we are. So, first of all, before we ask about the specifics of the NFL Combine, it's been a minute since somebody from the Big Sky Conference has gotten invited to the NFL Combine. I think the last guy was Troy Anderson, and that would have been in the spring of 22. Dante Olson, one of your former teammates with the Grizz, he went, I think the year before that, or was it? Maybe, no, 2019, I guess, probably would have been his senior year, right?
So it would have been 2020. Was that did they do it for that COVID year?
I think they did. They did Combine, but
he was there.
He was at the Combine for sure.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. It's been 3 or 4 Combines since we've had a Big Sky guy, but there's been FCS guys there. What do you make of that? Why do you think the Big Sky guys aren't getting invited? Because it's not like they don't have good numbers. Like I thought for sure Tommy Mellott would get invited just because of like the mystique around
Definitely
him.
A snub. Definitely
Right? Like, there. Just like the numbers that people thought he could put up. So what do you make of just like the lack of Big Sky Conference invites from around the Big Sky?
I don't know. You make a really good point about Tommy because, like, if anybody should have been invited, I mean, and I was going to say it's maybe that he's going overlooked, but dude played in the national championship. He was one of the best quarterbacks. He won the Walter Payton. Like, there's no way that this dude I don't know. If Tommy's not getting invited, I honestly don't know. And I think a lot of times what leads players to get an invite to the Combine is if they have a draftable grade on you, which is also funny because Tommy Mellott got drafted. So, I mean, I really don't know why they're overlooking these guys. I will say there isn't a bevy of Combine and draftable talent coming out of the Big Sky as of late. Obviously, you got Efton Chisholm. Obviously, you got Tommy Mellott. But, I mean, if you look in terms of the guys who have a chance to really get drafted and do that, I really don't know, man, because there are worthy guys like Elijah Ponder even, even though I think he was a UDFA, he was still somebody, in my opinion, who was going to test well. But like I mentioned, they're looking for guys with draftable grades at the combine. So that would be my only thing, and if Tommy's not worthy of that, I don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, it's just interesting, right? Because there's 7 FCS guys there this year. And I got from Stephen F. Austin, there were some guys that were from sort of second tier FCS programs. So
they all did really well.
And they all did really well. That's the other part, is it's not like, like Dante, bless his heart, he didn't do that well at the combine. So sometimes you say maybe they stopped inviting guys from that league because those guys weren't worth inviting. But then there's been guys that have blown up on their pro days or blown up at the combine when they've gotten invited. I just think it's really interesting that we just haven't seen it, because and it's not, you can't blame it on the rural thing either, because North Dakota State is also rural, right?
Yep.
Nacogdoches, Texas is in the middle of nowhere where Stephen F. Austin is at, so that's rural for all the FCS guys. So
Carnet Bird is in San Antonio, somewhere around San Antonio.
Yep. Well, how about the NDSU guys, though? Both Cole Payton, the former North Dakota State quarterback, and Bryce Lance, the stud wide receiver, both those guys blew the doors off of their combine. And, I thought that Bryce Lance was going to get drafted no matter, even going into the combine.
He's going to get drafted.
He's getting drafted high now, I think, because 11-something foot broad jump is crazy. 4.34 in the 40. I mean, he balled
41.5 vert. My goodness,
man. So how do you think that boosts him in terms of draft grade?
I think it really boosted him, because I think the one question mark was the speed. That was definitely the question mark for me, because when I looked at his film, I thought that he was better wise than Christian Watson, and I thought he was a little bit of a better route runner than Christian Watson, and we all know how well Christian Watson tested when he was coming out of NDSU, but that's really for me the comp for him. But it was about the speed, and I thought maybe 4.4, I thought maybe even 4.5. I did not see 4.34 out of this guy, man. He absolutely, and I don't think a lot of evaluators had him at a 4.3 either. So I think when you look at it in terms of what that does for his draft stock, I think it only rises it, I think he did a lot for his draft stock, as well as being 6'3", 204 pounds. He's got the size, and the film checks out. He's won at a high level, so he does everything you want to see. And then the numbers just need to check out at the combine, and the numbers 100% did check out at the combine. Same for Cole Payton, one of the best testers at the quarterback position. I think the question now becomes I think a lot of people are looking at him as a quarterback, but obviously he's extremely athletic. So I think the Taysom Hill conversations start to kind of creep up. Do they look at doing some things like that? But, I know if you talk to any quarterback, they want to play quarterback. So I think Cole Payton and Bryce Lance did a phenomenal job for their draft stock. But then also, I think it just points back to NDSU and what they're doing with the development of those players at NDSU. I mean, you got people out here thinking that NDSU is not going to be able to compete in the Mountain West. What are we talking about? I just saw a guy on the timeline power cleaning 400 pounds, one of their linemen. I'm like, yo, you guys do not know what they got going on at North Dakota State if you think this team is not going to come in and immediately be a top 5, if not a top 3 team in the Mountain West Conference. I mean, they have a system, and honestly, I'd love to see how things progress since their strength and conditioning coach just retired, but Bryce and Cole did a phenomenal job for their draft stock this weekend.
We talked about this a lot. Do you stay? There's always going to be opportunities for the skill position guys in the FCS to maybe make a jump. But I think that with the linemen, guys that play offensive line and probably interior defensive line and corner, it's way more advantageous for those guys to make the jump, because their resume, so to speak, in college is going to be so centered upon film. They don't have statistics as much, right?
Yeah.
The argument for a skill guy is different, because if you're Efton Chisholm, for example, you can stay at Eastern Washington and you can catch 350 passes and have 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons and score, however many dozens of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that's going to turn heads, right? But then I think Bryce Lance is such an interesting deal, because if you watched him live or you watched his film, you can see right away, you're like, oh, that dude's league. That guy's league right there for sure. Yeah. But his stats aren't crazy. Last year he had a great year. 75 catches, 1,071 yards,
22 yards a catch?
Yeah, I mean, he 21 yards a catch, yeah. I mean, he balled out. But But it's not. I mean, 75 for 1,071 is not that crazy. Like that's not even as good as Michael Wortham's numbers this year. I mean, it's good numbers. And then this year, Lance had 51 catches for 1,079 yards and 8 touchdowns. So again, those are fine numbers. But like you had better numbers.
The nature of the catches, though.
Totally, that's a good point. I just think it's interesting because I always said this when your good buddy Samari Torre transferred to Nebraska. I always said that he already has the resume in terms of the numbers. Whatever he does at Nebraska actually doesn't matter at all. Because the thing that's going to determine if he gets drafted or not is what he runs on his pro day. And I think that's the exact same thing with Bryce Lance, man. Yep. If you saw him one time, you saw he was league. And then if you see the numbers, you see that. I don't even think the catches and the yards actually even matter.
No, yeah, and that's really what it comes down to is, hey, let me look at the film. What do we see on film? Do we see an NFL player on film? Yeah. Okay, now you want to see if I always talk about it like the ACT. A lot of people who took the ACT and the SAT coming into college, whatever you got on that, you needed you used to, I don't think they require it anymore, but you used to need a certain baseline on that ACT or SAT to get into college. And that is just, we're looking for a baseline knowledge. We're looking if you know the basics or whatever they're looking for, the number they're looking for on that ACT, that's what they're looking for. That's how I see the combine. Hey, we see on his film that he has all the athletic ability. We see that he has all the ability to learn the playbook. He can run the route tree. He has good hands. Does he have the baseline athleticism? Does he have explosion in terms of his vertical and broad jump? Does he have the speed in terms of his 40? Does he have the change of direction in terms of his short shuttle and his 6-cone, or 3-cone, whatever? All of that is what you're looking for, and you just want a baseline. And obviously, Bryce Lance blew that out of the water with that 4.34. Man, his draft stock, I think, is on fire right now.
So here's a question I've thought about quite a bit. How many NFL players, and I'm not talking guys that make active rosters, because that's still really hard no matter where you go to school, Ohio State or North Dakota State or Montana or wherever else.
Yeah.
But I do think you have to have a bunch of pro hopefuls if you want to be a true national championship contender. How many guys do you think you need to have true like pro prospects to be a national championship contender right now in the FCS?
Ooh, I'm gonna think about the most immediate national champion that we have, and I'm gonna say 5 to 8. Like, I don't think you need a ton. I think you need some. Like, in my opinion, Paul Brott was an NFL caliber worthy defensive lineman. When I look at their quarterback position, I don't necessarily know if Justin Lamson is league. I think he could be league. I think Taco Dowler is for sure league as in terms of what he can do as a returner and how you can use him in the offense. I think Fleischman most definitely might be. Zimmer most definitely might be. Yep. I think a lot of their secondary from last year is league as well in terms of Carson Williams, Jace McMillan, and the three transfers, Seth Johnson as well. I think they could be league. I think Lynn Shoney, if he keeps to develop, so I think like 5 to 10 players you need that can at least make a 90 roster. Maybe not make the 53, but can make a 90 and be in training camp. I think you need at least 5 to 10 of those guys on your squad to be a national championship contender, in my opinion.
I think that's right. I actually did this study once upon a time. I need to revamp it, but I did it between 2011 and 2021, and it was between like 4 and 8 that most of the teams had. And he looked at the teams that had the high watermarks, even some of the non-perennial powers like Southern Utah when they won 2 out of 3. They had 5 guys that were NFL caliber. When you had Weber State, they had a whole string of guys that are NFL caliber type of guys. And then you look at the Cats the last handful of years. 21 team that went to the national championship. They had, they had Troy Anderson, they had Ty Okada, they had Daniel Hardy, and then they also had other guys that got shots like Lewis Kidd. Chase Benson probably would have if he wouldn't have blown out his back. Actually, Lance McCutcheon for sure. The one outlier from the last several years, because North Dakota State's had a ton, South Dakota State's had a ton. But in terms of the teams and Montana State's had their fair share too. Montana's the one team that has gotten to the national championship game that didn't have a ton. Like that 23 Grizz team actually probably had less pro talent than a lot of the teams before it. Part of that's because they had an unorthodox guy. I mean, the guy who was the linchpin of the whole thing, Alex Gubner, he just doesn't have prototype size. So but he's the one that made it all go. And I guess, Braxton Hill's still playing professionally. Some of those guys, they just
Bergen is in
Bergen
pros.
still is for sure.
Yeah.
Keelan White's still playing. So, in terms of pros, I guess they had the 4 to 5 guys as well. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Samuel Kim joining us here on this Wednesday. Bobby Kennedy had his pre-spring ball press conference last week from today, as you guys listen to this on this Wednesday. 20 minutes of an opening statement. Then he took about 4 questions that we had to wrap. What did you think? What were your impressions of Coach Kennedy and his sort of debut after his debut, like his first one doing it as like the seated head coach?
Yeah. Man, it definitely did seem like he was mentioning a lot of the online talking points, trying to address a lot of the online talking points in terms of, and he mentioned, he's on social media, so, he obviously sees a lot of it. But it definitely seemed like he was trying to, how do I want to say this? It seemed like he was trying to talk about, it seemed like he was trying to soothe, that's the word, soothe some of the online chatter and soothe some of the fans' worries and like he mentioned the transfer portal. He mentioned, guys who didn't, guys stayed from leaving the transfer portal. He mentioned the strength and conditioning staff. He mentioned a lot of things. He mentioned the offense and defense and how he's not gonna, that is their units, and I think that's been something that people talked about in terms of what Coach Houck did in the past. He mentioned the defensive. I thought he did a good job of kind of addressing what people want to hear about. Obviously, he did talk a lot, so he didn't leave a lot of space for questions from the media. But I think he did a good job of addressing some things. But I think, in terms of the depth of the interview, I think it could have been a little better.
That's what I was wanting most is, okay, you tell me you're going to recruit Montana guys. Great. Tell me why. Tell me the reason you need to do that, right? Yeah. Is it to just check a box and appease a bunch of message board warriors?
Yeah.
Or do you actually understand that some of the best players in the Big Sky Conference right now are coming out of the state of Montana? That's the proof in the pudding, right? Some of these guys that just led Montana State to a national championship, where are they from? They're from Montana, so you got to start winning those recruits, right? Because those are the parts that you get those guys, you can keep those guys, right? Like Taco Dallars from California. Is Taco Dallars still at Montana State? I don't know, man. He's probably not, but he's at Montana State because he loves Montana and he wants to have his camps and he wants to do the thing. He wants to be remembered, and I think that's great. But it's easier to retain those guys. It's easier to develop those guys. So I want to dive into that part with Coach Kennedy, a little bit more. The other big question I have for him is, I thought it was great that he mentioned that he was going to be sort of an overseer. Let my coaches coach. I'm not going to be meddling with the defense. It's Pisa's offense. It's Eric Sanders' defense. Let's let it roll. I like that style for sure, especially if you're not going to be calling plays. I want to know, though, when he talks about evaluating, he is obviously a very good evaluator of talent for offensive skill players and particularly wide receivers, right? Every stop he's been at, whether it's Stanford, Iowa, anywhere in between, Washington, Texas. He's had great players. He's got guys that have gone all the way to the highest level of football. And he also has recruited a whole bunch of great players, too, even if he didn't get them. He told this story on the Grizz Fan Pod about when Emeka Egbuka was coming out and how he wrote Emeka Egbuka a letter every single day for 365 days trying to get him to go to Stanford.
Obviously didn't win that battle.
He didn't win that battle because, like you said, I brought him to Stanford. I thought he was in, and then he went on a visit to Ohio State. He called me. He's like, Coach, I got to go to Ohio State. He's like, yeah, you do.
Absolutely.
I understand. It's all good. But anyways, so he knows how to recruit talent.
Yeah.
Does he know how to evaluate from a head coach's seat, though, the talent across the roster, right? What's that learning process, right? That's one thing I'm really curious in because, again, he knows how to evaluate the guys he just got done coaching with the receivers. Pretty sure since he's coached running backs, too, he knows how to evaluate running backs. And also that's the easiest position to evaluate. Just give 10 the ball. That's going to work out for you pretty well if you just give 10 the ball.
Yeah. He said that, too, and I like how they highlighted the stars.
Good point. So talk about that because I think that I said this earlier this week, but I think that was another pushback from the previous regime.
Absolutely.
There hasn't been stars. Like Bobby Houck hardly talked about Kelly Ayotte and Eli Gilman. Like if you asked him directly, he would give you a sentence or two. But like Kennedy did like 6 full minutes on like why these guys are sweet. So do you think that helps just empower confidence within the players?
Yes. Like I've told you this all the time, Coulter. People don't like, or at least Houck, and we had this conversation always because it was Houck at the helm, but he didn't like putting guys at the forefront. But that is not where we are in college football right now. You have stars, and Eli Gilman is a star. Ayotte is a star. Brooks Davis is a star. And I like how both Kennedy and Pease mentioned how our offense starts with Ayotte, Brooks Davis, and Eli Gilman. Those are the guys that make everything go. Those are the core pieces on this team. Obviously, Coach Pease mentioned, we still got some young players as well. But at the end of the day, these are our stars. These are the guys that are going to make everything go. If we are going to be a great offense, it's going to be on the backs of these guys. You need that because these guys know they're not blind that, hey, this thing goes with us. Like Eli Gilman understands, hey, we don't. If I don't go, we don't go. Brooks Davis understands, hey, I'm a young guy. I was a freshman last year. It is now my receiver room. I'm the star in this room, and like I love how they touched on that. Like that matters, and you want to make your players matter. You want to keep guys around. The media asks you about Kelly. Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, he did some good things for us last year. Ayotte will hear that. He understands that you're not really putting him at the forefront. You're not really, and like you don't want to freaking like praise the ground. Like you don't want to overdo it, but acknowledge the fact that these are the headliners on your unit. These are the headliners on your team. I think that matters.
It does matter, and it's not just about the PR. It's not just about what you're saying on camera. That's important, and like you're saying, they'll hear that. Like whatever you say about a guy, the head coach at a press conference, the guys are going to hear that.
Yep.
But to me, it's the internal part of it. Like you have to tell Kelly Ayotte, like we are going to go as far as you are going to take us. We Absolutely. Believe in you. Like it's not a coincidence that it doesn't matter. Like think about all the different personality types at quarterback in the NFL. Whether it's Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins. Those guys are all way different, right? Patrick Mahomes, way different. They're all way different in personality. What do they all got on their chest? A C.
The C.
Because they know, the NFL teams know, we have to have this guy. It doesn't even matter if you have natural leadership skills. There is no, vote. If you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, you got a C.
You're a captain.
You're a captain. You have to be. That's the way it has to be. So I'm glad that they're leaning into that. Anything else about Bobby Kennedy before we move on? Kim on the other side. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcast Company. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. If you want to make the switch today, or you want to add their one bin recycling, 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Appreciate Grizzly Disposal for the continued support of us. What else about Bobby Kennedy, the new Grizz coach from Samuel Kim, plus spring ball storylines? That's next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
What do Missoulians do best? They support their local stores. Come support your local pharmacy at Palmer's Drug. Palmer's Drug is a retail and compounding pharmacy that is the alternative to big box chain pharmacies. You can expect short wait times, free medication shipping, and friendly service at Palmer's Drug. Located at 918 Southwest Higgins in Missoula, Palmer's Drug is the most convenient way to get your prescriptions in the Garden City. Come in and discover how they can serve your pharmacy needs.
Dr. Tim here from Montana Imaging Center. Healthcare costs are changing, and many hospital MRI and CT scan prices have gone way up this year. Before you schedule imaging, you should compare your options and ask what it'll cost you. At Montana Imaging Center, patients save hundreds, even thousands of dollars with better technology and board-certified radiologists. Your images and reports are delivered instantly and securely to the hospital providers across the region, so your provider gets everything they need right away. You do have a choice. Take control of your healthcare costs. Call to set up your appointment today. MontanaImaging.com.
Hi, this is Johnny with Last Best Golf Company. I started my shop in my garage with one goal in mind, to deliver tour quality club fittings and precision builds to golfers across western Montana. We have now outgrown the garage, and we are now located at 517 South Orange Street in Missoula. Spring is right around the corner, and now is the time to book your equipment consultation and make 2026 your best season yet. Visit us at our new shop on Orange Street or check out lastbestgolfco.com. At Last Best Golf Co., we don't just sell off-the-rack golf clubs, we build pure performance, custom fit for you.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
Cold weather cravings? The Montana Club has got you covered with scratch-made comfort food to match every craving. From perfectly grilled steaks to satisfying salads, they're ready to handle your hunger. So grab a table with a reservation or keep it casual and order delivery straight to your door. Great food made easy. Visit MontanaClub.com to order or reserve and come warm up at your Montana Club. Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Calling the next generation of healthcare providers. Community Health Alliance's high school healthcare scholarship program is helping students turn their passion for healthcare into a career by offering financial support and community connections. With a rich history that includes over $500,000 awarded to recipients, these scholarships are now open to graduating seniors in Lake, Mineral, Missoula, and Ravalli counties pursuing a health-related field, with awards starting at $1,000. Applications due March 12th. Learn more at communityhealthwmt.org.
Sports Center.
3 of Missoula's best high school basketball teams earned byes to the Class AA state tournament. Hello, I'm Jeff Safford. In Class AA boys basketball, Missoula Sentinel is having one of the best seasons of the modern era. The Spartans won 15 games in a row to win the Western AA regular season crown. However, Friday at Sentinel, Missoula Hellgate toppled the top-ranked Spartans to secure the other bye out of the West. Hellgate takes the 2 seed into the state tournament in Billings in 2 weeks. Billings West and Great Falls CMR earned the top 2 seeds out of the East. In Class AA girls hoops, Missoula Big Sky went undefeated in Western AA play and enters state as one of the hottest teams in Montana. Butte fended off Hellgate to earn the 2 seed and a bye. Bozeman Gallatin, the last undefeated team in AA, is the number 1 out of the East. Billings West, whose only 2 losses are to Gallatin, is the number 2. Sentinels girls play at Hellgate tonight in play-in game action. Thursday, all of the Eastern AA play-in games take place as Bozeman plays at Billings Senior. Billings Skyview's boys play at Senior. Skyview's girls play at CMR, and Bozeman's boys play at Gallatin. In the West Thursday, Big Sky plays at Butte. Friday, Helena Capital hosts Helena High for a play-in doubleheader with the girls up first.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
If you're around Missoula at a certain time, brief moment in time, but a certain time, you might remember those guys. LP and the Federales. It's funny, one of my good friends was in that band. I didn't know him in school. He's a few years older than me, but we got to be good friends for personal and business and golf reasons and all that. I don't know, how do you become friends with somebody? You got mutual interests, right? But anyways, he's told me about his band a bunch, but then for whatever reason this last weekend, it was my brother's birthday, we were hanging out talking about it, and then he's like, he's checking it out. It's on Spotify. So that I'd never listened to it before. I heard him tell stories about these guys and being in this band and, you know, playing gigs around Missoula, et cetera. And I never listened to it. So then on my way home that night, I put it on, and I've been listening to it ever since. Fun. So, I don't know. It was just a moment in time, but those guys they're cool, man. It's fun to know one of my buddies was in that band. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Had a elongated conversation about FCS football with our good friend Samuel Akim. Inside the FCS, proudly presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's tournament time for high school hoops. The Southern B is going on right now. Several of the district tournaments in Class B are going on right now. They can stream any of it. They have more than 20 big screen TVs. They all have access to the NFHS stream. So if you want to go watch high school hoops and enjoy yourself a good family-style meal, head on down to Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Paradise Falls. Missoula's coolest hotspot. More with our man, Sammy Kim, right now.
One question I have for you. What do you think about the defense becoming Eastern Washington light?
Man, see, I thought about this so much. I think you have to look at Eric Sanders' resume.
Yeah.
Completely absent of Eastern Washington. I thought the press release yesterday, so they actually officially announced Eric Sanders and Jalen Johnson and Wes Nurse as the safeties coach. Jalen Johnson's coach of D-line. Sanders is going to be the DC. And Bobby Kennedy said that when we were preparing for Eastern Washington, I thought their defense was super confusing, and we were really concerned about it. It shows you the way a coach thinks about things, right? Like a game planner. Yeah. These guys think about it through the alignments and the strategies and the play calls.
The scheme itself.
The scheme, more
Not
than the
execution of the scheme, the actual scheme when you watch it on film. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think he was looking at it through, okay, what did I see on film that could be troublesome for opponents, right? And then let's put Montana talent with it and see what we got here. But the fact that Bobby Kennedy has said multiple times that the defense is going to be very multiple, I think that's good, because I think that if you have a multiple defense, then you can actually coach to your personnel.
Yep.
Right.
He mentioned that as well. That was a good point he made.
Right. Like, okay, this was the thing that drove me the most crazy about the 3-3-5. You say, okay, if we have this big hog molly in the middle, it makes everything go. But then when you don't have one, then what? Right? Like this defense, okay, let's say this is because in the FCS you can't have everything. If you're going to still be in the Big Sky Conference where you have 63 scholarships, there's some years where you're going to have 3 or 4 senior receivers and a whole bunch of underclassmen play linebacker or whatever the mix might be. You got to have, so how do you put the dudes, like how do you, let's say you have a little bit of deficiency in the inside. Okay, how do you make that work? How do you fortify it by scheming it up around those guys, right? Or you have great talent at corner. Okay, how do we maximize that? The other thing is when you look at Eric Sanders, I look at the fact that he was in the NFL for almost a decade and was also at UC Davis and Stanford, which means he's an incredibly smart guy. I look at all that and not the Eastern Washington part, because I just think that I think Eastern Washington has a lot of issues that are, first of all, I think they have tangible issues that are talent-based. And I also think that they have other issues that are, we could get in the weeds on if we wanted to, but it's not surprising. They've had so much overturn on their coaching staff, man. They've had no continuity. Yeah. I think it's a hard place to keep guys around. And I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. But I just think that I think you got to judge Eric Sanders based on his resume beyond just the couple years he spent at Eastern Washington. But also, I think it just remains to be seen, right? I think it remains to be seen. And I think that the defensive side has a lot to prove. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. You have spent tons of time with Brent Pease. He was a coach when you were there at the University of Montana. You had him on your podcast, Deep Ball, a couple weeks ago with Keenan Curran. I thought it was a great interview. Pease got up there at the press conference, and I thought he was good, man. I actually thought Pease answered a lot more of the whys than Kennedy did. Kennedy's was sort of like the first State of the Union address or whatever. Like, here's the things that I want to talk about or whatever. Pease was like, okay, let's talk ball, man. Let's talk about why these guys are good. Let's talk about why I do what I do. I directly asked him. I said, why aren't you the head coach? I basically said, tell us about the process to get Bobby Kennedy to be the head coach and why you wanted to stay as the OC. And he was very honest about it, man. He said, I'm here, and I told these guys in my room that I'm going to be here while they're here. And that's what I want to do. He basically said, I got a couple years left, and then I want to be done, which good for him because he's been doing this for a long time. What'd you think, though, of just him? Because obviously he's comfortable with you and Keenan. You guys knew he was going to be a good interview for you guys. Yeah. What'd you think of him on the mic, though? I thought he did really well.
I thought he did really well, man. Same thing as you said. Like, I thought he got in depth. I thought he gave the type of answers that people wanted. We want the why. We want the how, not just the what. And I felt like he was really good about that. I feel like Pease has been able to provide this since he's been there. He just hasn't been given the opportunity, which is a shame because, now I'll be very interested to see how he deals with the media if there's a stinker, and we have to have those hard conversations. We have to ask those hard questions, how is he going to deal with that? But I thought he was very good, in front of the media, answering all the questions, giving really in-depth answers, not keeping it short as Coach Houck used to do. He's a very intelligent coach. He's obviously been around the block, and I thought he did a good job also mentioning how, I've been fired before, so I had to learn from my mistakes. I had to become better. All the things that he mentioned, I think it was really good, man. I thought it was a really, really good interview, and I like to hear him. I just like to hear Coach Pease talk. One thing, a little tidbit about Pease that I didn't know, we obviously had Ayat on, and I know we may be getting to this, but I did not know that Pease has coached Ayat, Brian, and then he coached KLE. So when we were asking KLE about, how much his dad has kind of taught him, he's like, well, my Coach Pease taught my dad. So my dad, whatever my dad is telling me, it's the same thing that Coach Pease is telling me. And it's just kind of funny how that whole roundabout circle goes with Coach Pease. He's been around for a very long time. You could tell that when you hear him speak.
You definitely can. And I think that in certain ways, Montana's lucky to have him, but also,
yes.
The fact that it is his alma mater makes it a pretty unique thing. But certainly, it's kind of cool that he's bookending his career with a couple of his greatest quarterbacks ever. Because I think that he's been around all over the place and he's had a lot of great guys. But I bet you he would tell you that the guys that have the last name Ayat are two of the best that he's coached anywhere. Even though he's been at Florida and Baylor and Kentucky and Boise State and all these places, I bet you those two guys are two of the best ones. So it's a pretty cool story that he's getting to coach both of them.
It's so funny also that he mentioned that he doesn't have many more years doing this because he said the exact same thing to us when I was there in 2021. So it's like he said that 5 years ago and now he says that. I mean, it's just funny. And it was in a rant form when he said it to us. Like he was going off on one of the young guys and he said, I don't got two more years doing this. And it's just so funny now he's saying he doesn't have any. I mean, he obviously loves ball and he loves to be around the game and he's extremely knowledgeable. So I know Montana is very lucky to have Coach Pease.
Samuel Kim, you're on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. The Grizz are into spring ball now, so what do you think is the primary priorities here for the Grizz over these next 6 weeks?
I think Coach Pease talked about it. Offensive line, those guys got to get reps. You're going to be working with a young unit. They have to get reps. The defense has to get reps. Obviously, if Coach BK mentioned that this is a unit, obviously, if Coach, you mentioned the defense and how, he liked the scheme and he liked how, the scheme was very confusing for them. That means that if it's confusing for the offense to understand, it's also confusing at times for the defense to understand when you're learning a system like that. So I think the defense really, really needs to get reps in, no matter who it is, the young guys, the older guys, the veterans, like Peyton Wing needs reps, Solomon Tuliaupupu needs reps. Like everybody needs reps right now in spring. And that's one thing Coach Pease mentioned is everybody just needs reps. And obviously he was talking about the offensive side of things, but if I would put my finger on the biggest priorities, Eli Gilman is the best running back in FCS football, if not one of the top three. He needs that offensive line that's going to be opening holes for him needs reps. Also, the offensive line that's going to be protecting the best quarterback in FCS football needs reps. But then everybody on the defensive side of things needs reps. So the number one priority to me is defense. The number two priority is that offensive line. I don't really think you can pinpoint one area on the defense that defensively that really needs it more than the other. I just think the whole unit in itself needs reps, and then that offensive line just needs to develop some continuity. Obviously, there's been a new offensive line coach, for the last 4 or 5 seasons now. So, I mean, they just need to hear that voice in their head and just go to work, man. They just need to go to work on the offensive line. But the defense, more than anything, needs the reps and needs to get it together.
Last question for you. The fact that the offensive line is going to be all new. I mean, I guess Fritas has played a little bit. Gempt Guard played like a little bit as a backup. Like Austin Beeler has gotten a little bit. Like those guys were all like in the top 10 last year, but they were like 7, 9, and 10, right? Amongst the guys that played. So they've gotten games, but they haven't really played that much.
Yeah.
But there's all these guys, like if you were to make a starting lineup right now, they brought in a couple transfers. Like they got the kid from San Diego. They got the kid from South Carolina. There's the junior college kid, Carter Bowen, who's coming back from injury last year. He's huge. He just got hurt during camp last year when he first got here. But then most of the other guys are guys that have been in the program for the last couple of years that are, fourth-year juniors or third-year sophomores. Do you think the fact that none of those guys has really played and they have a new offensive line coach and they have a new head coach actually helps them? Because it's sort of like they can grow together.
Absolutely. I think that benefit. I think that's the biggest thing, man. Is like, yes, they all don't have a ton of playing time or they don't have a ton of experience, but they also haven't heard multiple different voices. Like, obviously, they've heard voices at their other schools, but in terms of this unit and being at this school, everybody's going to be hearing one band, one sound. We've never heard this coach before, and we've never kind of been coached by this guy before. So everybody's learning a new way of thinking about the offensive line play in terms of where this coach is, and I think that's going to benefit all of them. I think yeah, it's going to benefit everybody. I think there's some potential there. Obviously, the development is the biggest thing, man. And this is one thing where I think Montana and Montana State are vastly different. Montana State has done a phenomenal job of developing talent on the offensive line position. Whether you think they came in as talented or not, they've done a phenomenal job developing that talent. That is where Montana needs to get to in terms of, hey, who cares what the talent level is of these guys? We need them to be all conference type guys. We need them to be the best unit in the country. We need them to be the best of the best, no matter where they come from, no matter what we think they can be, no matter what the potential is. And I think they need to find that. They need to find that. And it starts in the weight room, but then it continues with the coach who's got in their ear. And we'll see. We'll see throughout spring ball.
How much of it is culture? Like, how much of it is like the expectation? Because I've thought about this a lot. Montana State certainly has a leg up on Montana in terms of physical development of players, and that's going to be most reflected on the lines. I think Sean Herron's the best strength coach in the country now that Jim Kramer is retired at North Dakota State. So that is a definitive advantage that I think Montana State has been able to maximize. But like, Montana's had some good offensive line coaches, and their offensive line production has been good but not great. And I just wonder if that's because of the way that they think about it. Like at Montana State, they think about how we have to be the best offensive line in the country for us to get where we need to go. There is no accepting anything less. And even when they turn over offensive line coaches, the standard remains the same. And that kind of stuff breeds itself, right? The standard is the standard. And you can go look at the wall and see all the offensive linemen that are all Americans, and you're like, okay, we got to get there. I just don't know. And this is just me openly talking. I have no idea what the Grizz actually think about this.
No, I agree. But culture, I agree.
It's been my perception that they think they're good enough and that they're just not. And I think that you just need to switch the mindset. If you're the fifth best offensive line in the country, you're not good enough. Because the other teams you have to beat have the better offensive lines. Like, that's the tried and true thing. What has every single one of the last 15 national champions had? A top 3 offensive line and a top 3 quarterback. That's it. Those are the two things that they share across the board. So I just wonder if they need to think about things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I agree with that. Culture. It is a mindset. Now, saying just shift the mindset is easier said than done, but most definitely that is what needs to happen. You need to, and it starts with Coach Pease. It starts with Coach Bobby Kennedy. It starts with all of them. Like, hey, you need to go to this unit and say, hey, guys, we are not going to be where we want to be as Big Sky champions, as national champions, if we don't have you guys. And it starts with the messaging. You're talking to these guys on a daily basis, and you're lifting these guys up as well, because, a lot of times the offensive line can be the butt of a lot of bad media and a lot of bad narratives when the season starts. Like, if the offensive line isn't playing well, everybody is going to hear about it. And I think as the coaching staff and the people in that room, you need to start building those guys up and say, hey, if we are a great football team, that will have started with you guys. If we are a not so good running good football team, that will have started with you guys. Unfortunately, like, you got to let them understand that, hey, we are going to go the same as you say with the star players. It starts with the offensive line as well. We are going to go as far as you guys want to take us, and you guys are the backbone of this football team, and the messaging has to be as such, in my opinion. I agree with you.
Yep, and I wonder if they mix up some of the stuff, because I thought that Montana's scheme has evolved really well broadly under Brett Pease the last couple of years. I thought last year their offense was sick. They don't scheme up hardly anything in the run game, though. That's the part where you're like, what is it, right? Like, because you can mask some stuff too, right? Like, Marcus Ware, in retrospect, Marcus Ware was the highest graded offensive lineman in the conference and the country at Montana State. He actually was limited, even though he was a freak.
Yeah.
But what do? they just did what he does well, right? Like they just got him out on the edge. They run outside zone. They run, they run BT where he's pulling. Like get him out of his space. Let him get his hands on people, maul people. I just wonder, at some point, you got to do something other than just inside zone. Montana doesn't run hardly anything in the run game.
I would go back to what Coach P said in his press conference in terms of how he needed to grow as an offensive coordinator. Obviously, I think he can scheme the pass up better than anybody in the country, if not as good as anybody in the country. But he did mention one of the reasons why he felt like he needed to leave Montana was because he didn't feel like he was good enough in the run game. And obviously, he's a phenomenal offensive coordinator, but nobody is perfect, and I think that's still something that probably is not a strong suit for him, is scheming up the run game. And no, maybe he needs to go to some clinics, maybe he needs to, have some analysts or something in there that kind of knows the run game, and that's, I think, where the analysts really come into play is, okay, I'm the offensive coordinator, but this analyst right here coached for one of the best running offenses in the country, whatever school it comes from, somebody who knows the run game better than you. And I think that's maybe where they could improve at if they're not already trying to improve in that. But I think that's one thing Coach Pease kind of was trying to hint at is like, hey, I know how to scheme up the pass. I'm not the best at putting together the run game. And maybe that's just ultimately something that Coach Pease isn't the best at the end of the day. But I guess we'll have to see in 26.
I wonder if it's hard to scheme up the run game for Eli Gilman. And that might sound silly, but he is really non-traditional in the way that he runs.
Yeah.
Because he dances at the line. Like he's such a feeler-outer type of guy,
Think about the Montana State touchdown. Nobody would teach you to do that.
Exactly. Like he sort of read it wrong, but then he can stop on a dime and to hit it, and he's so fast that he's gone. A 60-yard touchdown. But I wonder, some of the home run stuff he hits, everything went wrong on the play.
Yeah,
and then he makes it into a gash play. So
you're watching it back, you're like, man, the offensive line completely got blown up here, but Eli Gilman is just completely different than anybody else in the country.
Exactly. But then when they had Osmo, who's a good player, but a more traditional style guy, they would run real backside counter and power and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just because he was just more traditional. He'll hit it. He's just a one cut type of guy. Where Gilman's a 10 cut type of guy. He's all over the place. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I do agree with that. The run game at times has been a little bland. Not a lot of scheming up the run game. But also too, I think another thing with that, which he mentioned in his press conference also, was that you had Michael Wortham. So in terms of scheming up the run game, you could go Wildcat. So maybe that was their iteration of scheming up the run game. Instead of scheming up Eli Gilman in terms of different counter power schemes, let's just put Michael Wortham at quarterback and run Wildcat with him and Eli Gilman in the backfield. That's going to confuse defenses enough, even though I think he only handed it off one or two times the whole entire season. Still, I think that was kind of their curveball for a lot of defenses was the Michael Wortham, which he mentioned, they don't have that this year. So maybe that'll make Coach Pease have to go to the drawing board a little bit more and think a little bit harder about how he can get Eli Gilman more open running lanes in that run game.
Samuel Kim here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Okay, quick reaction. Robbie Houck named the assistant defensive backs coach at Illinois as we record this. Your former teammate. What do you think?
I think it's good for him. I'm obviously happy for Robbie. I love playing for Robbie. He was a hard worker. He's going to grind. He's built from the right stuff. He's built from the right stock. Obviously, his dad has been teaching him everything. He knows ball. He loves ball. I'm excited for him, man. Obviously, little nepo in there, but if you have a son, if McCall ever wanted to get into the media, I'm sure his first media job would be with you. We understand that.
The fate of this.
But we understand it, man. We understand it, and I got a lot of love for Robbie, and I'm happy for him. I hope he continues to climb up that ladder. But also too, I hope one day he gets out from underneath his dad, because I think that can also be a knock on him when he gets down that road. It's Barnum was a big friend of your dad, so obviously that's why you got that Portland State job, and now you work for your dad at Illinois State. Eventually, I don't know. It's hard to say because he was at Portland State, not under his dad, but I'm excited for him. At the end of the day, that's really good for him, and I'm happy for him.
No doubt. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Go check out Sammy's new Deep Ball podcast with Kaylee Ayat. It's a good interview. He also had some impressions on his channel just about Bobby Kennedy and the Combine and other FCS storylines. Be sure to subscribe to all of our various YouTube channels, and you can always catch him here each week now throughout this offseason on Nuanez Now. Thanks for doing it, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Missoula, get ready for a massive weekend of conference lacrosse. Your University of Montana lacrosse team is defending home turf at Washington Grizzly Stadium. It all starts Friday night at 6 as the Grizz battle Gonzaga under the lights. Then action continues Saturday at noon against Central Washington and wraps up Sunday at high noon with another huge conference showdown against Idaho. General admission tickets are available at the gate, and University of Montana students get in free. Feel the intensity, bring the noise, go Grizz.
Are you a sports fan who loves to win? Get in on the action with Sportsbet Montana. Bet on collegiate and professional baseball, football, hockey, basketball, and more, all while keeping the money right here in Montana. It's easy and secure on our kiosks and mobile app. Head to your favorite Sportsbet Montana retail location to catch the game, place your bets, and celebrate your wins. Sportsbet Montana. Learn more at sportsbetmontana.com.
Bees buzzing, flowers blooming, snow melting, and spring cleaning or updating? Liberty Electric is here for any and all of your electrical needs, no matter the season. Whether you're looking to upgrade your air conditioner for the summer, invest in a backup generator for those powerless nights due to storms, or need that lighting upgraded to LED, the professionals at Liberty Electric are ready to offer their services. Call 406-541-WIRE. That's 406-541-9473.
The Press Box is the place to watch all your favorite sports. In the heart of Grizz country, Press Box has great food and drinks with happy hour and lunch specials every weekday. Don't forget, Press Box has the best happy hour deal in town, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6, $3 draft beers. That's right, any draft beer at the Press Box, from domestic light beers to IPAs to everything in between, $3 drafts between 4 and 6, Monday through Friday at the Press Box. Press Box also has 2 sports bet machines, so you can always get your bets in before the game starts. The Press Box on Broadway and Van Buren in Missoula.
It's tournament time. Buzzer beaters, underdog stories, and the best deals at Bob Ward's. Get off the couch and into the game at Montana's oldest sporting goods retailer. Baseball gloves, bats and cleats, soccer balls, shin guards, and training gear. Whether you're cutting down nets or cutting across the outfield, Bob Ward's has the gear you need. Discounts on top name brands across every department. Savings in camping, fishing, and everything outdoors. Don't miss your shot. Shop Bob Ward's, sports and outdoors, Montana style.
Happy New Year, Montana. I'm Secretary of State Christy Jacobson with some great news for Montana businesses. I'm once again waiving the annual report filing fee. Visit biz.sosmt.gov, file your annual report by April 15th, and the fee will automatically be waived. It's that simple. Thanks for doing business in Montana, and here's to a successful 2026.
This message sponsored by Montana Secretary of State's office in cooperation with the Montana Broadcasters Association.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Welcome back. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Keep those texts coming in. If you want to win wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, just let us know what you want us to talk about. What questions do you have? Grizz, Cats, high school, whatever. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And any and all text 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029 will get you entered in to win a dozen wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Golf season's right around the corner. That's pretty fun. Can't wait for that. As you know, if you're a loyal listener, I'm a golf junkie. Love it. I guess 2 weeks ago now, I went with our good friend Carolyn, Chicken Doesn't Know Sports, to a fun new golf business here in Missoula. It's called the Last Best Golf Company. Started a garage 3 years ago with one goal: to deliver tour quality club fitting and precision builds to golfers across western Montana. Last Best Golf Company has now outgrown the garage, and they're located at 517 South Orange Street in Missoula. From beginners to pros, they use advanced technology and proven data to help you get the most out of your game. So here's what, like I was in there checking it out. So they have a simulator in there, right? They'll analyze your swing, but then they'll figure out a way to get you the custom club, and it's not just like the custom of that brand. They have custom shafts. They can make custom grips, custom heads, all that sort of stuff. With spring just right around the corner, it's time to book your equipment consultation and make your 2026 season your best yet. At Last Best Golf Company, they don't just sell off-the-rack golf clubs. Last Best Golf Company builds pure performance, custom fit for you. Check out their new shop at 517 Orange Street. Hour on the Bucks, but keep them coming. 406-888-1029. If you want, let us know what you want us to talk about. If you want some wings for the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, 406-888-1029. Hit us on the text line. Thanks to the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Go to when it comes to wings in Missoula. The NBA playoffs right around the corner, March Madness right around the corner, Stanley Cup playoffs right around the corner. Lots of sports to watch there at the Despo, so it's a good prize to win this time of year. 406-888-1029. The return of Justin Engel, University of Montana business professor. What does branding and the association with the brand of a coach in a football program mean to a university? We discuss that next. Keep it right here, 1029 ESPN Radio.
Dr. Tim here from Montana Imaging Center. Healthcare costs are changing, and many hospital MRI and CT scan prices have gone way up this year. Before you schedule imaging, you should compare your options and ask what it'll cost you. At Montana Imaging Center, patients save hundreds, even thousands of dollars with better technology and board-certified radiologists. Your images and reports are delivered instantly and securely to the hospital providers across the region, so your provider gets everything they need right away. You do have a choice. Take control of your healthcare costs. Call to set up your appointment today. MontanaImaging.com.
Missoula Fight fans, get ready. Fusion Fight League returns to the Adams Center March 7th. 15 fights, 5 title fights, and a bare-knuckle feature fight. In the heavyweight main event, Holston's Braden Peterson throws down with Mount Vernon's Juan Figueroa in a clash for the pro heavyweight ranks. Doors open at 5, prelims at 6, and the main card starts at 7. Don't miss the action, Missoula. Reserve your seats now at GrizTix.com. This event made possible by Stokes and Montana Moon Rockets.
Senior Medicare Patrols empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse through outreach and education. In Montana, Senior Medicare Patrol is operated by Missoula Aging Services in cooperation with area agencies on aging across Montana. To contact your closest office, call 800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Think you're not scholarship material? Think again. Farmer State Bank's $10,000 scholarships were created for hardworking students just like you. Yes, you. Imagine what $10,000 for trade school, technical school, or a 4-year college could mean for you and your family. See your high school counselor or visit farmersebank.com, but do it today. Applications are being accepted right now. Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907, member FDIC.
You might be thinking, what's the big deal about a kids menu? Well, once you have kids, you know. It seems like it's getting harder and harder to find kid-friendly meals at affordable prices. At Paradise Falls, the kids menu is not only diverse, it's a total steal. For some of the cheapest prices in town, you can get hamburgers, mac and cheese, and other kid favorites for super low prices. Paradise Falls is a family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Come enjoy a meal with your kiddos in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Attention Missoula and Ravalli County nonprofits. Registration is now open for the Missoula and Bitterroot Gives, a 26-hour online celebration of our nonprofit community hosted by Missoula Community Foundation. This is an opportunity to raise funds and awareness for your organization through an online platform that engages your supporters and the entire community. Participating nonprofits can win matching dollars, prizes, and more during the Day of Giving on April 30th and May 1st. Register your Missoula and Ravalli County nonprofit today at missoulagives.org.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
3 of Missoula's best high school basketball teams earned byes to the Class AA state tournament. Hello, I'm Jeff Safford. In Class AA boys basketball, Missoula Sentinel is having one of the best seasons of the modern era. The Spartans won 15 games in a row to win the Western AA regular season crown. However, Friday at Sentinel, Missoula Hellgate toppled the top-ranked Spartans to secure the other bye out of the West. Hellgate takes the 2 seed into the state tournament in Billings in 2 weeks. Billings West and Great Falls CMR earned the top 2 seeds out of the East. In Class AA girls hoops, Missoula Big Sky went undefeated in Western AA play and enters state as one of the hottest teams in Montana. Butte fended off Hellgate to earn the 2 seed and a bye. Bozeman Gallatin, the last undefeated team in AA, is the number 1 out of the East. Billings West, whose only 2 losses are to Gallatin, is the number 2. Sentinels girls play at Hellgate tonight in play-in game action. Thursday, all of the Eastern AA play-in games take place as Bozeman plays at Billings Senior. Billings Skyviews boys play at Senior. Skyviews girls play at CMR, and Bozeman's boys play at Gallatin. In the West Thursday, Big Sky plays at Butte. Friday, Helena Capital hosts Helena High for a play-in doubleheader with the girls up first.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
The Stews. They're pretty cool. Found them a couple days ago. Oh, my good buddy's name's Stu. Maybe he's secretly in that band. I don't think so. Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Coulter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They'll pick it up at your house. Plastics, cardboards, cans, all that stuff. If you'd like to add recycling to your service or make the switch to Grizzly Disposal today, 406-541-7171. Or shop online, grizzlydisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. If you missed in the first hour of the show, and elongated Inside the FCS with Samuel Kim, talking everything from NFL Combine to how many NFL prospects do you need to win a league and or national championship. Also talk some spring ball when it comes to the Grizz, and had some fun. We also give you a chance to win some wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, and let us know, what do you want us to talk about? 406-888-1029. Let us know what subject matter you want us to touch on, and we certainly will. All that on today's podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. And do us a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. That definitely helps us out. We'll keep it on the football conversation. Time for our ESPN Roundtable. It's proudly presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank invites you to experience the Stockman difference as a family-owned community bank with locations throughout Montana. Stockman Bank, committed to enriching the lives of Montanans and helping communities succeed. What that means to you is your money stays in the local economy, supporting your friends and your neighbors. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Familiar guest in a new space. Usually you're hearing him on the business angle, but today we're doing this for our ESPN Roundtable because Bobby Hauck's retirement, sort of the gift that never stops giving. It's been a news cycle that's been perpetuated just from everything that stemmed from it. And our next guest, Justin Angle, he had a chance to sit down with Coach Hauck right before he left. So I figured a good time to sort of preview that and let you know where you can find that extended conversation and catch up with the man himself. So good to see you, Jay. How you doing?
Good to be with you, Coulter. I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I mean, we're sort of like in the final push before spring break here on campus. So I think students are, kind of in the meat of the semester, not quite close enough to the end to have hope that they're going to make it. So it's a precarious moment for some students here.
Well, good. Well, it builds fortitude and character, certainly, to be in that.
Exactly. We're in like the time just before halftime.
That's exactly right. Well, good. Well, first of all, without any spoiler alerts here, we got to get your perspective on, first of all, your opportunity to sit down with Bobby Hauck when he did announce that he was quote-unquote retiring. Of course, then he resurfaced in Champaign, Illinois less than a week later. But you got a chance to do an exit interview with him for your podcast. So tell us just about sort of the entry point to that and maybe what your impressions were of Coach Houck as he left what has been a long and a very accomplished career at the University of Montana.
Yeah, so as your listeners probably know, like I'm not an X's and O's guy. I don't follow football closely. I'm really intrigued by it, kind of the place it holds in our cultural landscape. And I've been intrigued by Bobby and his role as a personality here in Montana, as a leader, as a prominent person on campus and within the state, and a person with deep family lineage here in Montana as well. So, and I've worked with so many of his students and coaches and just had, a form of a professional relationship over the years. So when he announced he was leaving, it was in the time around when President Bodnar had announced his resignation and a lot of upheaval here on campus. And there was a few things he said in his exit press conference that caught my eye. And the primary one, or caught my ear, I suppose. And the primary one was the things about the job had become less fun.
Sure.
And, you'd heard rumblings around that. You heard him made some comments. It's probably not all that, hard to guess what those variables were. But I thought it was an interesting opportunity to maybe talk to a person on his way out of a head coaching position about okay, what are those things that aren't fun? And can you now talk about them maybe in a more reflective way that the regular news cycle of the season doesn't allow? Or if you're in a position where you're trying to recruit or close the deal or keep players from transferring or whatever, that maybe it was a different opportunity to chat about some of those variables. Reached out, was able to kind of talk about the interview and plan it, and then boom, the Illinois job came around. So that maybe, but I don't think that changed the dynamics of what we were able to talk about. So anyway, that was the setup.
Yeah, it's been, I've covered Coach Houck for most of my journalism career, and so it is sort of this weird feeling for me to think about covering a Grizz team where he's not the head coach.
Yeah.
Even when there was intermittent coaches, there was always this shadow of Bobby Houck looming. But when he says definitively in his press conference that I'm retiring from being a head coach, I don't know what else is going to happen for me after this, but I'm retiring from being a head coach because I know if I was going to be the head coach anywhere, it would be here at the University of Montana, and I'm not interested in doing that anywhere else. But it has been so interesting the last couple of years because you can tell this has been weighing heavy on Bobby Houck's mind, like the evolution of college football. Some would say the degradation of college football because Coach Houck is very short and to the point when you interview him about basically anything that comes about his team or anything from personnel to recruiting to strategy to game plan, any of that, he's very short. But you would ask him, what do you think about this new rule? Or what do you think about the phenomenon of transferring? And you'd get 2 and 3 minute sound bites. Yeah. And so you'd sit there and think, okay, this is something this guy has been thinking about a lot and really been mulling over. So when he made the choice, I wasn't that surprised. And I know a lot of people have said, well, what the heck? He turned around and took another job. I think there's some nuance there. I think, first of all, he did say pretty directly that he didn't think he was done with coaching. He just thought he was done being a head coach.
Sure.
The other part is that he gets to go to Illinois, and Brent Bielema has told him he doesn't have to do any of the recruiting. He's just going to be an evaluator. So I think that's sort of a brand new start for him. But what I'm wondering is, you and I have talked so much about how Bobby Houck's style and the style that the Grizz have played during the 15 years he was the head coach, a workman-like, blue-collar, we're going to hit you hard, we're going to come after you. We encompass the persona of a Grizz, right? That's what they have been. They play so hard. I think that's why people like watching them play. They've had such a heavy Montana flavor to their roster. All those things, I think, have been things that have made Coach Houck so popular with the fan base, even if he does have shortcomings that they criticize. What do you think of just sort of this opportunity for Montana to sort of turn the page? Because there's such a strong branding and marketing association with the styles Bobby Houck's team played. How do you expect maybe that to transition, or what sort of challenges come with a transition like that? So,
I think there's opportunities and threats as present with any situation. In this case, by elevating an assistant coach who's already within the staff, who has connections, and there's some continuity there. That's pragmatic for a variety of reasons. One, you maintain continuity with your roster and recruits and all of those things, but it allows you the opportunity to sort of build on the existing branding strengths as you frame them, but also kind of put a new twist on it. It is difficult to change existing associations, and in this case, I mean, like you said, the Grizz have a definitive brand, and they hold a unique space in the minds of Montanans. And from a branding standpoint, I think it's probably useful to try to maintain those things. And by hiring an internal hire, you have an opportunity to do that, and you can sort of tweak the knobs a little bit, but this isn't like regime change, if you will. And that also seems to be consistent with what's maybe happening at the university. I mean, if you read the position description and you listen to what Commissioner Clay Christian has said about how they're approaching the search for a new president, at least what they're putting out in the public is like, hey, Montana's on a good trajectory. The University of Montana's on a good trajectory. We want to keep that momentum and find somebody who's going to keep things going in the right direction that we're already headed. And so that provides an interesting framework for new leaders to come in. And there's not a lot of pressure to establish a new vision, establish a new brand, establish a new persona, identity, all those things right from the jump. So it can be a tailwind, but it can also be maybe constraining, because if you want to be a change or change agent with revolutionary vision, you're going to have to overcome some pretty big tailwinds to get there.
Justin Engel joining us here on the ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank in Montana, only in Montana, and they plan on keeping it that way. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking. That's one thing that's really fascinating to me, is the fact that people think of Montana football like they think of Bobby Hauck as the head coach of Montana football, even though he was actually a complete departure from everything that preceded him the previous 20 years when he took the job. Like, Don Reed wrote a book about the spread offense. Like, he's one of the innovators of the four wide, throwing all over the place. Like, the first Grizz national championship, you go look at the rushing stats, they didn't run the ball at all. They threw the ball 60 times a game. I just think that, like, it's just fascinating that the style Bobby Hauck played, it goes so hand in hand with the easy things to understand. November and December football games in Missoula when it's cold, all these things that we think of in sort of like the romanticized version of football. But then, the pendulum always swings when it comes to these coaching changes and transitions in any form of leadership. And so that's why I wonder if so much of this sort of rebrand, so to speak, is almost exclusively dependent on success. Like if Montana plays a totally different style and they win a whole bunch, I don't know if people will really acknowledge it. But if they don't win a whole bunch, they'll say, well, where the heck's our old, blue collar, fight to the end type of Bobby Ball Grizzlies?
Yeah, that is an interesting question, and I think it applies somewhat uniquely to sports. We are attracted to winners, right? To a certain extent. I think winners can kind of become tiresome after a while, like we're sort of seeing a moment like that potentially with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but that's another podcast. But anyway, yeah, you sort of want to live up to expectations in a way, or deliver on expectations, but the primary expectation is to win and to win championships. So if you come in and you establish a new style, a new brand, and you're successful, then that's going to be the new way, right? People are going to get on board with that. Generally, there are some places that have their identity built around, hey, we play a certain way, and whether it's successful or not, we sort of, as fans, share in the misery of being committed to this way of playing, whether or not it's successful. And there are some places that have an identity built around that. Maybe it's sort of loyalty to a myth of something that never was, or some enduring pessimism that your team's just never going to get over the hump. I don't know quite what that is, but it is interesting how sometimes, how you win or how you play can be more important to some fans than if you win or lose.
Yeah, the most staunch example of this in the Big Sky Conference is Eastern Washington, because they built something that based on conventional wisdom and the advantages and disadvantages the university has, should have never been. Like they built a nationally prominent power in tiny, teeny Washington. Sure, they have Spokane right down the road, and they also capitalized when Washington and Washington State weren't that good. But they did it with this unbelievable lineage of quarterbacks, and they won at such a high level. They won all these Walter Payton Awards. They won a national championship. But then when they lost in the playoffs 3 years in a row on their home field, and Bo Baldwin left, they decided, oh, we're going the other way. We're going North Dakota State, Montana style. We're going to, hire an offensive line coach as our head coach. And look at them now. They've just completely eroded because they got rid of the thing that they did so well. They removed their unique place within the Northwest as a team that threw the ball over the place and had Cooper Kupp. So it's just going to be so interesting to see how Montana transitions now. But what do you think of this element? This is the first sort of out-of-the-family hire that Montana's had at the football spot, other than Bob Stitt in the last 40 years. And I think Bob Stitt and that whole 3-year experiment sort of colors the way that a lot of Grizz fans look at all of this. But it does seem that on the other side, there's a whole new sort of fresh start here with Bobby Kennedy at the helm. And he certainly has connections to Coach Houck as somebody that's worked with him in the past, but a guy that's from sort of outside the family who's been at the highest level with stops at Washington and Texas and Iowa and Stanford, places like that. So what do you think of sort of this turning of the page to a guy that maybe is different and from a different background than a lot of the Grizz football coaches we've seen over the last quarter century or so?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I think that the family aspect that you talk about, or these coaching trees or lineage or all of that, like those aspects I think are eroding in this, or the importance of those aspects are eroding in similar ways to the importance of player continuity. Players are moving around rapidly, and that gets most of the attention. Some of the attention goes to when coaches leave and there's big buyouts because that's newsworthy. But coaches and coaching staffs are moving around as well. And following players, and players are following coaches, and all of these things. So I think that's less important a variable than what we might have thought it to be in a previous generation.
Definitely, and I think that the Grizz faithful will. Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't move on from that notion that you need to be part of the Montana family.
I mean, I think where it could matter, Coulter, is. I think being a part of the family maybe gives you a little bit more of a runway.
Yes.
And will buy you some patience with fans if you don't get off to a hot start.
Sure.
Right? But if you do get off to a hot start, they're going to love you, whether you're from your biggest rival or your worst enemy, or if they don't know you at all.
It's not totally unique to Montana, but it is crazy that Montana has such a huge sample size of it, because in men's basketball, it's been one coaching tree for 50 years.
Yeah.
With the one outlier being Pat Kennedy, and he's the only Grizz coach of the last 50 years that didn't have at least some modicum of success. Every other guy went to the NCAA tournament at one. I guess Mike Montgomery never did, which is crazy since he's a Hall of Fame coach with 600 wins. He went to the Final Four with multiple schools after Montana. But either way, Judd Heathcote through Travis DeKeer, everybody has had success in men's basketball. And same thing with Grizz football, from Don Reed through Bobby Houck. Mm-hmm. Bob Stitt's the only one that's sort of like the outlier. And I think that just sort of reinforces to Grizz fans and their mentality maybe why they've always gravitated toward in the family. But I agree with your point. The new day and age in not just college football, but just higher education in general, and just where we're at, like new and fresh seems to be a lot of the way, progressive seems to be a lot of the ways that schools are going. So maybe this is a breath of fresh air for UM football.
Well, you can certainly turn things around quickly. Right? Like the ability to go from, 0 to hero and in the other direction is much more available. And I think it's easy for us as fans or as people following along or media, whatever, to tell ourselves a story about that continuity and that culture and all of those things, I think are important. And they roll up into the branding concept that you talked about. And culture, but, really you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle and also execute, right? So you've got all these moving parts, players, coaches, staff, styles of play, whatever, and you're just trying to find alignment as quickly as you can because you got to capture it, and your window of opportunity is smaller because people are going to leave. Like if they don't have success, or if they have success and are picked off by another program, your exit threat is so high that I think I think it becomes a matter of execution rather than, this continuity, this cultural piece that's easy for us to sort of think about and talk about, but that seems to be more of a story than it is a relevant variable in the success on the field.
Justin Engel joining us, ESPN Roundtable. So let's talk about Bobby Kennedy's approach here now. I was sending you some of the graphics that he's been making on Twitter. At first I thought, man, they got to do better than this. Like, they could tell this guy's just doing this in his basement. But then I started to follow it, and, then I heard him talk about it. We asked him about it at his first press conference, and then he talked about it on the Grizz Fan podcast. And he said, hey, I just want to make personalized stuff for guys that I think that they're going to sort of remember. And, you can get all these fancy graphics, and there's all sorts of great graphic design teams throughout college football, and they're all awesome. But you can also tell just sort of the homogenization of it all, like the formula that's used. You can also get a slick graphic from ChatGPT in about 13 seconds if you want to. It's pretty clear that Bobby Kennedy made these, so there is an element of personalization. I'm still on the fence when I think of it, just in terms of like the quality control versus the memorability of it all. But what do you think of just the effort Coach Kennedy's putting in when it comes to just the recruiting trail and the new age graphics that he's making?
I mean, I like the idea of a coach speak. If I'm a recruit, I like the idea of a coach showing specific interest in me and communicating that interest in me directly. So the word authenticity comes to mind, and that is a word that's sort of been overused and thrown around so much we don't really know what it means. But in this case, I think it means like direct communication and saying like, hey, I'm watching you. I'm impressed, and I would love you to come to be a part of the University of Montana football program. I mean, that carries a lot of weight. And yes, we live in a world where you can spin up what appears to be high-level graphics and video content, all of those things really quickly, but it's generally kind of anodyne and all approaches the same sort of slop, sort of aesthetic that has the trappings of good. But what's really good is having a coach just say like, hey, I'm watching you and I'm impressed, and making a personal connection. So I think the personal connection piece of it kind of trumps the other variables. And I think probably from a coaching perspective, you want a kid that those sorts of overtures matter to, right? If you have a kid that's impressed and seduced by the AI slop, it's probably a sign that that's maybe not the kind of kid that you want in your program. I mean, that's my judgment, and just mine alone.
But it is fascinating, right? And I also always remind myself that once you become an adult, then the like level of ages just they get shrunken down, right? Like Bobby Kennedy is 20 years older than me, but he doesn't seem like he's an ancient person. We are both just adults that live in a similar world. But when you're 17, you think people that are in their 50s are ancient people.
Oh yeah.
So I would love to see like the real time reaction of some of these guys, like looking at the graphics and be like, man, look at what Coach Kennedy did. Like I can't believe that this old guy can make these cool graphics or whatever. I just feel like it's a way for guys to show it off to each other, and I bet you they think it's pretty funny, and I bet you they do think it's pretty memorable.
I will say, like, as somebody who has players on the team in class and they have just started spring practice, like the coaching staff has their attention.
Sure.
Let's just say that I'm competing for attention with the playbook at the moment. And so that's a noticeable thing in the classroom. And I think, I don't know if it translates to success. Probably not in my class, but it might translate to success on the playing field. We'll see.
Well, two more things for you, because I know you got to run. But just the overall effort, I think, is the interesting part, too. You can never say that Bobby Houck was lazy, but he was not doing things in a new age fashion. He did things his way.
Sure.
With unbelievable success in a lot of different ways. But he was not the guy that was going to go post pictures of him with recruits in high schools, or, design his own graphics and send them to recruits, or, do videos in the weight room, or, highlighting the nutritionist and the dietitian and the weight coach and all that sort of stuff. And Bobby Kennedy is. So the effort, I think, is a concerted one. I think it's very clear that they understand that maybe that was something that was lacking for University of Montana. So do you think that that's a place where maybe they can make up some ground because Bobby Kennedy sort of is leaning into the modern way of the world?
I mean, I like how it sort of bridges the dynamic, or bridges the age gap, right? Like, he's willing to play in the communication sea that, this generation is fluent in, right? But he's still being himself. And I think that's the right way through, right? Like, you don't want to pretend to be a teenager and engage at that level. But you do want to find the students where they are. Like, you got to communicate in a way that you're delivering the message to the prospective athlete in the right place at the right time, and doing it through social and these other avenues is the right way to do it. So I think it appears to be a good mix of both old and new, and we'll sort of see how it plays out.
Sort of a dawning of the new day now at Montana, because it's always been considered, or not always, but for the 21st century, been considered a football school, and that's driven a lot of the image and the visibility of the school forward. But now with a new head football coach in place, but also a new president incoming, sort of the chance for new beginnings, like you mentioned. I think that's sort of the premise on campus and with the regents and the Board of Higher Education and Clay Christian is that what has been done over the last 8 to 10 years has been good. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the momentum going. So how do those two things sort of meet with sort of a new guy in place in football and sort of a new president coming in terms of just the near future for Montana?
I mean, I think it's a really interesting time. We've now had two successive head football coaches. It's often said that the most important decision a university president makes is the football coach hire. Right. And now we've got two successive coaches who weren't really hired by the current president. Sheila Stearns hired back Bobby prior to Seth Bodnar starting. Right. And Bobby Kennedy was sort of elevated in this interregnum after Seth had resigned, and we don't have a new president yet. So a new president will come in and inherit that decision. That's just an interesting frame. And I think in some ways, yes, there's been a lot of positive momentum, and it'd be good to keep that trajectory. And, when people come in and say, well, I've got a new strategy and I want to go through this listening tour and blah, 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 that can be disruptive. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We just need somebody to come in and execute. That's kind of the current frame. So, I don't know. I also think that frame could maybe limit how attractive the job is to people who fancy themselves as transformational leaders. So I think there's some trade-offs with how you approach it. From my standpoint in the classroom, and then sort of as a supporter of what's happening with students on campus, continuity can be a good thing. Things are generally going in a good direction. There are threatening aspects on the horizon, but those things are facing many other institutions of higher education. So some degree of continuity appears to be a useful frame in this current moment.
Justin Engel here on the ESPN Roundtable. Thanks for doing it, man. Good to see you, and we'll check in soon. But thanks so much for being here today.
Sounds good. Thanks, Coulter. Appreciate it.
ESPN Roundtable proudly presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank inviting you to experience the Stockman difference. As a family-owned community bank with locations throughout Montana, Stockman Bank committed to enriching the lives of Montanans and helping communities succeed. What that means to you is your money stays in the local economy, supporting your friends and your neighbors. Okay, so this is a non-sports topic, but I have to say this here on the radio because this is absolutely a current event that's happening like, I don't know, 1/4 of a mile from where I sit right now. So that was a pre-recorded interview, recorded with Justin Engel. So while we played this, I just went across. We are located here on North Reserve, and I just went across the street to Mullen Station to get some gas. And as I'm pulling out of the parking lot, it's like pandemonium at the town pump that's across the street from Mullen Station. Double digits of first responder vehicles, police and an ambulance, fire truck. I'm like, what's going on? And then my wife sends me a news report from K-Pax that somebody got shot dead at the town pump that's right there on the corner of Reserve and Mullen, not Mullen Station, but the one across the way. Then K-Pax reports that the man was allegedly a fugitive from Billings. The shooting involved 4 bail bondsmen conducting a bond revocation. This is all according to Whitney Bennett and the Missoula Police Public Information Officer. 2 of the bail bondsmen involved in the shooting are being interviewed by Missoula Police right now. The whole point is that there is a lot of stuff going on out there right now. First of all, that whole situation is obviously wild and dangerous. And, I mean, regardless of what the person did, that's still tragic. Somebody died. But the PSA here is avoid this part of town if you can, because it's not great out there. So there's your news update of the day here on Nuanez Now. Thanks to Stock and Bank for their continued support of us here at ESPN Radio. Take a break. Keep on talking Grizz. Danny Sermon, a tight end from Missoula Sentinel, will be our guest post Grizz spring ball practice. That's next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Are you a sports fan who loves to win? Get in on the action with Sportsbet Montana. Bet on collegiate and professional baseball, football, hockey, basketball, and more, all while keeping the money right here in Montana. It's easy and secure on our kiosks and mobile app. Head to your favorite Sportsbet Montana retail location to catch the game, place your bets, and celebrate your wins. Sportsbet Montana. Learn more at sportsbetmontana.com.
Hi, this is Johnny with Last Best Golf Company. I started my shop in my garage with one goal in mind, to deliver tour quality club fittings and precision builds to golfers across western Montana. We have now outgrown the garage, and we are now located at 517 South Orange Street in Missoula. Spring is right around the corner, and now is the time to book your equipment consultation and make 2026 your best season yet. Visit us at our new shop on Orange Street or check out lastbestgolfco.com. At Last Best Golf Co., we don't just sell off-the-rack golf clubs, we build pure performance, custom fit for you.
Missoula, get ready for a massive weekend of conference lacrosse. Your University of Montana lacrosse team is defending home turf at Washington Grizzly Stadium. It all starts Friday night at 6 as the Grizz battle Gonzaga under the lights. Then action continues Saturday at noon against Central Washington and wraps up Sunday at high noon with another huge conference showdown against Idaho. General admission tickets are available at the gate, and University of Montana students get in free. Feel the intensity, bring the noise, go Grizz.
Bees buzzing, flowers blooming, snow melting, and spring cleaning or updating? Liberty Electric is here for any and all of your electrical needs, no matter the season. Whether you're looking to upgrade your air conditioner for the summer, invest in a backup generator for those powerless nights due to storms, or need that lighting upgraded to LED, the professionals at Liberty Electric are ready to offer their services. Call 406-541-WIRE. That's 406-541-9473.
The wait is over. Grizzly Disposal is now offering no sort recycling. No more sorting and dragging it across town. They'll get it right from your house. Cans, cardboard, and plastic all in one bin. Handled by Grizzly Disposal. Visit grizzlydisposal.com to add on recycling to your plan or to switch over to Grizzly Disposal today. Give them a call, 541-7171. That's 541-7171. The best trash removal service in town just got better. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
The Press Box is the place to watch all your favorite sports. In the heart of Grizz Country, Press Box has great food and drinks with happy hour and lunch specials every weekday. Don't forget, Press Box has the best happy hour deal in town, Monday through Friday, between 4 and 6, $3 draft beers. That's right, any draft beer at the Press Box, from domestic light beers to IPAs to everything in between, $3 drafts between 4 and 6, Monday through Friday at the Press Box. Press Box also has 2 sports bet machines, so you can always get your bets in before the game starts. The Press Box on Broadway and Van Buren in Missoula.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
3 of Missoula's best high school basketball teams earned byes to the Class AA state tournament. Hello, I'm Jeff Safford. In Class AA boys basketball, Missoula Sentinel is having one of the best seasons of the modern era. The Spartans won 15 games in a row to win the Western AA regular season crown. However, Friday at Sentinel, Missoula Hellgate toppled the top-ranked Spartans to secure the other bye out of the West. Hellgate takes the 2 seed into the state tournament in Billings in 2 weeks. Billings West and Great Falls CMR. earned the top 2 seeds out of the East. In Class AA girls hoops, Missoula Big Sky went undefeated in Western AA play and enters state as one of the hottest teams in Montana. Butte fended off Hellgate to earn the 2 seed and a bye. Bozeman Gallatin, the last undefeated team in AA, is the number 1 out of the East. Billings West, whose only 2 losses are to Gallatin, is the number 2. Sentinels girls play at Hellgate tonight in play-in game action. Thursday, all of the Eastern AA play-in games take place as Bozeman plays at Billings Senior. Billings Skyviews boys play at Senior. Skyviews girls play at CMR, and Bozeman's boys play at Gallatin. In the West Thursday, Big Sky plays at Butte. Friday, Helena Capital hosts Helena High for a play-in doubleheader with the girls up first.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Continued public service announcements here. We sit here in right off of North Reserve at Missoula Broadcasting Company, and we're getting real PSAs from the Missoula Police Department. This in from Tommy Evans, who forwarded this along to me. The public formally asked to avoid the areas of Reserve and Mullen right now. There was an incident that resulted in a death at the corner of Mullen and Reserve. And they're asking, do not call the police to report the incident. They are well aware they are there right now. So please avoid it. They said officers are currently on the scene investigating an incident at 2200 North Reserve Street. They ask the public to please avoid the area and use alternative routes while officers work. At this time, the incident is isolated. Additional information will be shared when it becomes available. They are preparing to open 1 lane on Reserve Street, but roll slow, be careful. KPAC's reporting that this was some sort of a manhunt. Somebody was on the run from bail bondsmen, and then an incident occurred, and the person that was on the run was shot and is now deceased. So this is a serious situation. If you can, avoid Reserve and Mullen, and the police are on it. The first responders are on it. So have patience and be safe out there. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. There's been so much talk about Grizz football. First, because of the fact that there was, just 2 losses on the Grizz schedule last year, and they were both to the now reigning national champions, Montana State, who happens to be, if you hadn't been paying attention, Montana's rival. And there were so many, woulda, coulda, shouldas in those games. But then there's also just the fact that Bobby Houck abruptly retired. The whole defensive coaching staff beat feet other than Kim McLeod. So many of the defensive stalwarts were that entered the portal before this transition all happened. So they're rich with storylines when it comes to Grizz football. I think one of the key storylines in this Grizz spring camp that the Grizz embarked on Monday is that the Grizz got to find a replacement for a couple stud tight ends. The tight ends have been a huge part of what the Grizz do on offense over the last, 8 years under Bobby Houck. Even if they haven't caught a ton of passes, they were pivotal. I thought Evan Schaefer was one of the best players in the country at his position last year in terms of what the Grizz asked him to do. If you've heard the term, the football term, set the edge, setting the edge is so important defensively, especially for the guy who's either the defensive end or the outside linebacker. You set the edge to flow to the ball. That's what the run fit comes from defensively. That same concept exists on offense. And the Grizz run a inside zone scheme, but Eli Gilman scores a ton of his touchdowns on the outside. So the only way that happens is you're blocking to the whistle, but also if stuff gets clogged up in the middle, if Gilman, the All-American running back for the Grizz, if he hits the hole and there's nothing there, if he can bounce out to the outside, if there's room there, boom, you're off and running. You are in the money. Especially if you have a guy that can set the edge. That was Evan Schaefer. He had some utterly punishing blocks, and it wasn't just on the perimeter. It wasn't just crackback style. Like his block against Kenneth Iden, the All Big Sky defensive end from the Bobcats, that Schaefer had in the first Brawl of the Wild 1.0. Man, just devastating. That plus the fact that Josh Gale was the touchdown maker. Those two guys were really, really good. And then Titus Rohrer, who's the 6'7", 260-pound transfer from Tennessee, he was sort of that third tight end that got some snaps. But now, Schaefer is graduated. Gale is graduated. How do you replace those guys? How do you replace the production in the run game from? I mean, Schaefer was Montana's best offensive lineman. Let's not splice it any other way. Montana had some solid contributions on the offensive line, but Schaefer was. I mean, Cannon Pamphilov was a first-team all-conference offensive lineman. And Liam Brown was an all-conference offensive lineman too. Those guys were both good last year. But Schaefer was the most important person to Montana's run game, and he was the most important person to the explosiveness of Montana's run game as well. And then Gale, he caught a bunch of touchdowns. So those guys are going to be hard to replace. They have some candidates, though. So Danny Sermon, Missoula Sentinel product, he'll join us here momentarily. We are just sort of gauging when the Grizz end practice. So here's what we're going to do. We're hearing from Eric Tabor, SID at Montana, that they're almost done. So we'll take one more break, come back. Danny Sermon, Missoula Sentinel product, and a potential big contributor at tight end for the Grizz football team joins us next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Cold weather cravings? The Montana Club has got you covered with scratch-made comfort food to match every craving. From perfectly grilled steaks to satisfying salads, they're ready to handle your hunger. So grab a table with a reservation or keep it casual and order delivery straight to your door. Great food made easy. Visit MontanaClub.com to order or reserve and come warm up at your Montana Club. Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Someone who said they were from Medicare called and asked for my personal information.
I noticed a charge on my Medicare statement for a test I don't remember having.
I got a letter offering me free medical equipment if I gave them my Medicare number.
Something didn't seem right.
It seemed too good to be true.
If something seems odd, it's probably fraud. Call Senior Medicare Patrol at 800-551-3191 to report fraud. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Black Mountain Lawn and Landscaping offers comprehensive yard care services, including lawn mowing, planting, irrigation, landscaping, waterfalls, and hardscaping with a focus on paver patios. Black Mountain Lawn and Landscaping offers customized lawn care programs to revitalize and rejuvenate your lawn to get your landscape beds and gardens ready for the season. Free estimates on sprinkler systems and lawn mowing and yard care services. Visit blackmountainlandscaping.com, call 406-529-0793, or email dave@blackmountainlawns.com.
Why do you go to the big box stores for your pharmaceutical needs? It doesn't really make any sense. Employees are walking out all over the country because safety is disregarded and they treat their customers like numbers in a database. Why do you go there? Let the local pharmacists at Palmer's Drug and Lolo Drug help make you feel like more than a number. Not only are the prices competitive as any big chain pharmacies, but their service will blow you away. When you're choosing pharmacy, choose local pharmacy with Palmer's Drug of Missoula and Lolo Drug, your local pharmacy experts. Red's Bar is a beloved institution in downtown Missoula. Whether you want to watch a game, enjoy a cold beer, spend time with friendly faces, or simply wind down, the welcoming atmosphere and wonderful staff at Red's will make you feel right at home. Red's features 14 HD TVs and 2 full-service bars. Stop by and grab a beer with friends while you watch your favorite team play and check out the extensive collection of awesome sports memorabilia. Red's Bar in downtown Missoula, the friendliest sports bar in town.
Vertical Raise is the top fundraising platform, no matter what sort of organization you need to raise money for. Vertical Raise is an industry leader with elite technology that can help you reach the most vast audience possible, in turn, delivering a bigger check for you and your organization. In 2023, Vertical Raise Montana helped raise more than $1.5 million for high school sports organizations around the Treasure State, and the returns were more than 30% greater than any other fundraising program. To find out more about how Vertical Raise can deliver your organization the biggest check possible, visit verticalraise.com.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
We're back, 102.9 ESPN Radio, straight from the Missoula Police Department. Officers are currently on the scene investigating an incident in the area of 2200 North Reserve Street. That's basically the corner of Mullen and Reserve. We ask the public please avoid the area and use alternative routes while officers work. At this time, the incident is isolated. Additional information will be shared when it becomes available. They're currently preparing to reopen one lane of Reserve, but not good here in the Garden City. So avoid that part of town and let the law enforcement do their jobs. Missed anything in the show today, you can always find it on the podcast, which is available on all your podcast hosting platforms. We heard from Samuel and Kim inside the FCS. We also heard from Justin Engel. A little preview of his upcoming exit interview with former Montana head coach Bobby Hauck. And we also talked a little bit of Grizz football from a tight ends perspective. All of it on the podcast, which is available on all the podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. The departure of the defensive staff and the overturn of defense at Montana right now, like in terms of personnel, that certainly is huge storylines. You know, how does Bobby Kennedy do as a head coach? I don't think we're going to know that definitively until we see it in August, September. But there are so many storylines right now with the Grizz that I think some of the most underrated storylines are getting sort of brushed over a little bit, right? What's up with the Grizz kickers, right? Ty Morrison, he graduated. Joe Silver, he was the guy down the stretch. He's back. So is it his job to lose? And can he perform at an all-conference level? That would be huge for the Grizz if they can get that. Who's the punter? Ty Morrison, graduated. He did double duty. So that's an interesting fold. How much will the Grizz lean into and prioritize special teams? That was always a strength under Bobby Hauck. So where are we at with that whole part of this thing? I think that people are lumping the defense into one deal because there's new coordinator, new position coaches all the way across the board. By the way, if you missed it, Eric Sanders officially confirmed as the defensive coordinator on Monday. Jalen Johnson, the defensive line coach on Monday. Wes Nurse, the safeties coach on Monday. Kim McLeod remains the cornerbacks coach. So that's your defensive staff. Other new coaches on the offensive side, Brent Myers on the offensive line. Rob Fennessy still doing tight ends. Dom Dasty, the new running backs coach. So the staff has a whole new flavor with Bobby Hauck moving on. There was sort of a perception that maybe everybody would stay. The only guys that are sort of in their same positions are Brent Pease at the offensive coordinator spot, Kim McLeod at cornerbacks, and Rob Fennessy coaching tight ends. Everybody else has a different or elevated or both role for Grizz football. So that's certainly a huge part of this, right? That's certainly a huge part of this transition. The fact that they have several guys with defensive experience, but only a few with defensive starting experience. Hunter Peck expected to get his waiver. We'll see if that actually goes through. He's a guy that transferred from Carroll, so do they count the NAIA towards his clock? Solomon Tuliapupu, he has been approved for an NCAA waiver. So he's back at outside linebacker. You got guys like Clay Oven that have been in the mix a little bit. But Cade Cutler, we had it on the show on Monday. But by and large, it's going to be a new look defense. But to me, I'm thinking like, I think the fact that everything on defense is new actually helps the Grizz. Because there's no preconceived notions of who's the best, who's the leaders, all that sort of stuff. You can sort of reorder the pecking order. And you have a whole new scheme to learn. So everybody's learning at the same time. They're all going to be like, what does that mean for the product in October and November? I'm not sure. But in terms of the here and now, I actually think it's a benefit to the Grizz because everything's a new chapter. Everything's a fresh start. That helps you big time. We know what the offensive skill guys have to, have at their disposal. Even receiver who loses a lot for the Grizz, I think that those guys, they have a lot of guys that are potential breakout players. I think Corbin Hendricks is number one on that list. But to me, if Montana wants to take the true next step, they got to be able to get off the field more consistently on defense, but they also have to be able to control the line of scrimmage. And I know that the Grizz went 13-2 last year, and they controlled the line of scrimmage in the vast majority of the games they played in, at least to a certain extent, right? But they need to be able to do it at an elite level, at a national championship level. That's what Samuel Kim and I talked about. So to me, I think two of the most important battles that are going on during the spring camp is at tight end. We're expecting Danny Sermon, but I think we're probably going to run out of time. We will have more Grizz post-practice. Oh, it sounds like we got him. All right, we'll go quick. Missoula Sentinel product, Danny Sermon joining us here on Nuanez Now. Danny, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. First of all, just tell us how it's going. A new transition for you with a new coaching staff, or at least by and large, but you have the same coach. So how's it been? What was your reaction to Bobby Houck leaving? And now here you go. You still got Rob Fennessy in your room. So just take us through it from your perspective. Sounds like Danny's on his way. Danny, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you taking a minute for us. We only actually have about 2 minutes left, but just take us through your perspective on this change. Bobby Houck retires, then unretires, but you still have the same position coach of Rob Fennessy. So how's it gone? What was your perspective just on the way this has all gone down?
Well, there's a lot of movement in college football, so, you never really can be surprised. But, with Coach Bobby Kennedy in, I'm really excited to see where we go. Coach Fenn is awesome, and we have a really good tight end room this year. So, yeah, I'm just really excited to see how this year unfolds.
Well, Grizz tight end's certainly one of my favorite groups to watch last year. And I thought Evan Schaefer was a wrecking machine, and Josh Gill made a ton of plays. Both those guys graduated. So now you, Titus Rohr, Mariano Birdno, you guys are the lead guys in the room. So take us through it. What's sort of your perspective on just getting yourself a little bit more opportunity here, and how do you hope to maximize that? What do you think of the tight end so far during spring ball early on here?
Yeah, well, we have a good lineup right now. Titus had some reps last year. I had only a couple, but we're both veterans in this program, and we have some experience with the offensive coaches around. And Birdno is doing really well. He's catching up, and I think the three of us, and then Reese Brooks too. Don't forget, we will. I think we'll do well. I really like the idea of getting more reps, and so as spring ball ramps up.
What's awesome?
We can expect to get a lot of reps there.
No doubt. Well, it's certainly you're going to get a ton of reps, so we'll be excited to follow along. We only got about 30 seconds left, so I got to sign out. But we'll certainly catch up with you one more time before spring ball is over, because I definitely want to get more of your perspective. But we appreciate you for joining us on late notice here today. Thanks for doing it.
Yes, thank you. Have a good day.
Short and sweet, but we got him. Danny Sermon. Again, though, I just think it's, even though we only got to get 2 questions in, it's worth reemphasizing just the importance the tight ends have and sort of the new chapter that they're in right now. We'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. We got tons for you, including Jeff Graham, the head coach of the Montana Tech women's basketball team, and whatever else we get to, we'll see you. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio.